Hello everybody, this is Starman and welcome back to Let's Play Betrayal at Krondor. Well, we're in the middle of Chapter 3 and we have cleared a fair bit of the path between Romney and Lighton. And last time I stopped and said that we would start by picking up with the mystery of Abuk's box. And that is in fact where we are, just outside of Silden. But I'm going to first show you what I spent some time working on off camera. And you'll note my stats for most of the party have not improved overly much, although Goraf now has a very decent defense. James's is not that bad, and yeah, Owen's fighting ability is better than James's, and his defense is definitely better, so yeah, my magician is a better fighter than my rogue at this point, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, we are just north of where the end. Wonder if you notice that I've got just under 9,000 gold at this point. And actually pass that on for James to be using, because he'll need these later on. But, yeah, I have got my equipment pretty well stripped down for my get-rich-quick scheme. And I am going to show you how it works really quick, but first we're going to check the hidden treasure box, which you remember Abuk said had the word thorn on it. And we'll go ahead and check the rest of these to see if there's any loot in these that I left behind before. This one, clearly the word is Delicon. And yeah, I didn't leave anything in that one. Yeah, this one's Thorn, so this one is Abuk's box. And this one has that note that we need to pick up, which, given to Istundus of Kaval Keep, the quantity of 500 rubies and 200 gold sovereigns, totaling a value not in excess of 20,200 sovereigns. That doesn't mean much to us, but it might mean something to the moneylender in Kaval Keep. And Dragonstone, but yeah, we can sell that one off pretty easily, I think. Alright, so how is it that I was able to amass this grand fortune in a relatively short amount of time? About half an hour of game time, give or take. Well, the trick is that we need to go to Nia's shop near Sephanon, and we can fast travel a fair clip if we go behind Lighton, like so. But if we go to Nia's shop, now she gives us some pretty good prices and will sell things back to us for a rather generous amount. You'll note that I did try selling some poison corals here to save myself some time, but the price was not quite that generous, and I sold the books off once I was done reading them here. So anyway, the trick is that we haggle down on the price of some regular old arrows, and then we buy as many as we can get. And Owen is full up. And I may not wind up selling all of these right away, at least not here, because I'm pretty sure that something wonky may happen if I go over 10,000 gold. But if it comes to that, we should be able to buy something in Romney to take care of that surplus. And okay, we have now maxed out our carrying capacity. So from here, we use our new spider toy to poison all the arrows. It will not let you double poison them, though. Alright. So we'll go ahead and poison everything Goraf has for a start. And fast travel to the east. I keep going until it says, we need rest, which will happen at about midnight. And it's about 3 days' journey doing this. Oh, and I did run into this rogue and kill them in this field. And you do it to course correct and go northeast by east a few times. Okay, then there's the inn on the way to Romney, and it will probably be getting dark just as we start to reach the town. And here we are. Now, you remember we paid about 9 gold and some change to get the regular quarrels at Nia's shop. Having poisoned them, we can now sell them for 70 gold each. So that's about 60 gold on each bundle that we bought. And I can give the rest of these to Goraf as well. Have him poison those. And I think we should top out at just under 10,000 gold, which is more than we really need for this chapter, but there's no kill like overkill. So yeah, just under 10,000 gold. Not bad for about 10 minutes work there. Well, fun is fun, and this is a nice way to make a profit in Romney, but we do have one other crisis to tend to here. And that is going and checking with Arlie's Steel Soul, or Steel Skin, or Steel Something, about ending the strike and getting the prices lowered in town, which means we have to head back away from Sloop. To the next little house off the area, or off the road. Actually, that was North Sloop. And there is nothing in this box, but... And yes, it turns out that Mr. Seal Soul is rightly paranoid and has set up some rather nasty traps in this place. But this is a pretty easy one to disarm, given everything we've dealt with so far. So we just use that one to give James a little more wiggle room. But, you know, I'd rather take the fast way on this one. The Reeve met them at the door. Nearly bald except for a few short tufts of hair which cropped behind his ears like untended weeds, the Chief Reeve was a surprisingly small man for the position of power he held among the guilds of the Romney. Smiling fiercely at them, he slapped James's shoulder with a heat-blistered hand. "Ollie Steele, shall here," he said. "If nothing else, you got your puts. Not many men see that trap out there have the gumption to try and come through it. I wanted to at least talk to whomever had the guts and smarts to pull it off." He invited them into his home, offered them some food and water, and spoke of the guild war near Romney. "It started when the river pulls jacked the prices so high no one could afford to ship things down here," he explained. "That forced Mr. Wayland to attend to the guild of Romney. Well, let me tell you, Chief Reeve of the river pulls didn't like that at all. Felt the new guild was trying to undercut his business. But can you blame him? Mitchell, I mean." James shook his head. "The Duke of Romney doesn't seem too happy about matters either," he said. "He wants you to come to the negotiations table so they can bring a halt to all the violence in Romney." Arlie nodded. "Bloody politics started this mess, and that looks like it'll take to bring it to an end. They'll take a chunk out of the Ironmongers Guild, be sure of that. We've always lost at the negotiations table." "Then we can tell the Duke you will negotiate?" James asked. Walking to a row of shelves, he pulled down a book. "Nothing to do that I know." Alerting James first, he tossed the tome. "Thought you might like this after all your questions about the ironwork." "What is it?" James asked, looking at the plain leather cover. "A beginner's text on the art of repairing arms and armor. I was going to throw out to make room for a few new books that Podruck brought to me. You're welcome to it." Thanking the Reeve for his generous offer, James motioned to Gorath. It was time they were on their way once again. "We will tell the Duke," he said before closing the door. "He will be excited, I think." So, yes, we have been given a book on armor repair. Oh, it has been given to Owen for some reason, though. And even though we hardly need the help at this point, well, Gorath doesn't. Might as well try and take advantage of it. If not for the crude diagrams which accompanied the text, most of the book would have been largely incomprehensible, the majority of the words misspelled, inaccurate, or so obscure that Owen had never heard of them. Despite the book's shortcomings, he was able to learn quite a bit about the basic repair and maintenance of weapons and armor. In a crude amendium, there was also a hastily scrawled list with useful information. "It has been found that certain substances can be applied to armor to avoid the counteracts of poisons used by an opponent. In the following list, the first item of repair can be used on armor to counter effects of the second item of the pair: Silverthorn Antidote and Silverthorn Poison, Serix Bane and Silver Skin Biter Poison, Flame Root Oil and Napta Ignited Blade, Dragonstone and Seal Fire Enchanted Blade, Serix Bane and Frosted Blade, I think made by Alphane's Icer, Clerical Oil Root Cloth and Clerical Oil Cloth, Killian's Root Oil and Clarian's Root Oil." And that did increase armor craft and weapon craft. Alright, now that has maxed 89% and 75%. Gorath is a mighty fixer now, and James, well, he hadn't gotten that much worse at any rate. This is kind of amusing to me because Jimmy the Hand is supposed to be this legendary hero, and in the span of, probably a couple of months' effort, I've turned this regular, ordinary, minor noble son into a better warrior than him after 10 years of living on the streets of Krondor. Just shows you what the power of min-maxing can do for you. But anyway, if we head back to Romney now, all that reading. But now if we head back to Romney, the prices should be much more reasonable, at least as far as food and water go. Actually, let's see if they're more reasonable now. Hey, they have dropped down already. Let's see, 14.6, 14.6, 14.7. Alright, well, we're well stocked on rations now. And hey, haggling increased. And we'll be able to get into Romney just before dark. The sergeant-at-arms halted them. Putting his hand against James's chest, he shook his head. "I'm sorry, but the Duke is—" Abruptly he halted as the Duke appeared behind him. "It's all right," the Duke said. "Let them in, Sergeant. I'm expecting these fellows. I'm expecting they'll come to tell me that they've convinced Arlie Steelsoul to come and help me out. Am I right?" James confirmed the fact quickly, following the Duke into his meeting hall. Seeing the benches had been removed from the room, he seated himself... Sorry, lost my place there for a moment while clearing my throat. He seated himself unceremoniously on the table edge while Garth and Owen stood by the door. "Before I forget your reward," the Duke said, opening a chest in the corner of the room. Sorting through it looked like torn table linens and soiled writing clothes. He at last found a pouch and tossed it to James. Inside were several gold coins and a very valuable key. "I'll keep my promises," he said. "Now let's hope that Ollie does as well." "I don't see why he wouldn't," James said, packing away the Duke's gift. "He seemed honorable enough." "He's in charge of a guild," the Duke replied. "He has to sound honorable. In their own way, the guilds are more powerful than princedoms. You mark my words. One day the Inkofta of the kingdom will cross swords of the guilds, and it's not likely to be a bloodless affair. I think what's happened here is just a taste of the things to come." "Glum words," James replied. "Do you think there'll be more trouble here?" "Not for now. They've had enough anarchy to do them a while, and Arlie's coming to negotiations to settle things a bit." After chatting a while longer, James glanced up at the darkening windows. "It's getting late and we have other business to attend to. Thank you for your services, gentlemen," the Duke said, escorting them to the door. "If you're ever in Romney again, please feel free to drop by and visit again." And we might as well... Okay, I guess there is not a place to do... Okay, and there's not an inn here, unfortunately. We're out of stuff to sell, so we'll go ahead and camp outside the city. Now, we should head north to Caval Keep, but I think we do have one pressing bit of business to go and investigate first. You'll recall that we heard a rumor in Silden about how the upright man just died, which means that things are probably kind of chaotic in Krondor. And we may want to head down that way to see what's what. And we can make a quick trip by the Oracle Of Aal on the way to see if we might get some insight as to, well, this, where to find the Nighthawks that we're seeking. And we can cut through here to get to the Western Highway a bit faster. And if you all are thinking I'm going to take the long way back around to get to Caval Keep, where we're meant to be going next, and I'm probably going to walk around the whole western edge of the kingdom, well, congratulations. You have found me quite predictable. And yes, we did go ahead and do a full healing drink of the inn, because one neat little glitch, turns out that it won't charge you the money for the drink. Nice, that. Yep. Black-clad figures blocking the path of the Oracle of Aal. And it turns out that it's not the Nighthawks. The enemy was surprised. "Serpent men!" James shouted as they rushed forward. "I have a feeling this isn't going to be pleasant." So yes, here is our first encounter with the Penefian Serpent men. Thankfully, they aren't that bad if you can catch them off guard before they can start casting spells. The problem is that they are rather quick. But thankfully, Grief of 1,000 Nights is a wonderful equalizer. Now, these fellows do have some rather interesting items on them. At least some stuff that's worth a bit more than the standard sword. And yeah, you'll note that now, well, I'll be darned. I guess they did fix that glitch. I now have 10,242 gold, but it's not telling me how much I have in the way of royals. So yes, let's go check out the Oracle. Same thing before. Murder. "A murder took place in Romney, and we are seeking the murderer. We need his name. Though you believe you seek a name, it is not what you truly wish to know. As you have surmised, the two objects which you discovered are clues to murders. The one indicates a murder you may not have realized has taken place. Which objects will lead us to what we're looking for? The brass spyglass will guide you in your path. Ask after it, and the way to your destination will become known." So, yeah. The Silver Spider, not going to have anything to do with the murder that we're investigating. But it does have something to do with, as we just learned, a completely different murder. And we will go ahead and stop in Malak's Cross again. But we aren't going to do our chess match just yet. Because remember, there is another ticket experience here to do. Let's go ahead and talk with the abbot. "Welcome to the Abbeyshap. I am the Abbot Graves. How may I help? We help you. Several men were killed in Romney recently, and my companions and I are investigating the murder. We were hoping you might be able to give us some information. We are always at the disposal of the king's wishes. How can we help? There were one or two objects that we found on the bodies of the dead men. One was a rather ordinary-looking brass spyglass. The other was a small spider statuette made of silver. Would you know anything about either object?" "Spyglasses are common devices, but silver spiders, now, they would be quite rare. I've seen them catalogued in books of magical poisoning devices, but they'd be prohibitively expensive for a common murder. Whoever used your spider would have to be a man of a great deal of money and would have to have connections with Kesh. That's where they are made. Thank you. You've been of tremendous help. Glad to be of service. Incidentally, would you gentlemen be interested in attending a lecture this evening on tactics? It's being instructed by Baron Troville in our Spectre Lecture Hall, and it promises to be very enlightening. The tickets are only 25 sovereigns. Do you wish to go?" "I think we can make time. Where's the lecture at?" "In town next to the Queen's Road. There's a small hall we reserved for Troville's speech. Simply present this ticket at the door, and the doorman will admit you. I believe you'll be in for a stimulating evening." So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and step outside of town, do a quick save. Because of its tactics, I think that would be assessment rather than defense. And we'll go ahead and check, and if it turns out I'm wrong, I can restore. Although Goraf hardly needs the assistance in that. And Baron Torval is another character from the original books, a very minor one, but rather interesting and a nice nod to see him here. A man took their ticket at the door. Waving smoke from his face, James was surprised by the number of young nobles seated in the lecture hall, mostly as if they'd rather be drinking ale in the tavern across the street. He shuffled his way through shoulders and elbows, finding benches for both Owen and Goraf before taking a seat next to a scrawny soldier wearing a tabard emblazoned with a red stone, Tor, the colors of High Castle. Against the back wall, a small stage had been set up, its perimeter surrounded by flickering candles, casting an eerie yellowish glow on the faces of Baron Torval and the two men who attended him. When at last they had set up the hardwood podium, the Baron stood and looked across the room. I wish I could deliver this speech under happier circumstances, but to the north the Dark Brothers are massing for yet another siege against us, the Baron started slowly. I am not here by request of your abbot, but because I await the arrival of the volunteers from Darkmoor and Salador to come and join my forces at High Castle. We have received word that the Mordahel's new prince, Delicon, has unfurled the war banners of Mermandimus. A rumble passed through the congregation of nobles, the significance of the old Moradhel name not lost on the students. Looking at most of the faces of the room, James knew that when most in the room had only been children when Mermandimus had led his troops to Sephin and had likely lost fathers or uncles in that deadly battle. I think, therefore, this lesson will be a little more practical for our purposes and will concentrate on the defenses at High Castle, Troville continued. Page, please fetch my maps. For 5 hours, the Baron lectured on defensive techniques and the essential tactics known to be of use in the Northlands. When at last his energy began to flag, he took a few questions for calling the meeting to an end and exiting through a rear exit. Okay, so we'll go ahead and swing by the shop and check. And yeah, assessment at 100, assessment on 87, assessment at 100. So definitely a worthy use of 25 gold. And as long as we're here, minor loot for that, but hey, loot is loot. And what's mine is mine. And yeah, he won't buy the book. But we can sell that on the way back to Krondor. And Krondor is where we shall head for next time. We will go ahead and see you then.